You're not here because you're looking for a business. We're here because we want to learn how to make lots and lots of money. Some people, keeping an open mind, have actually discovered a little skill called building instant rapport that will explode their business in less than 60 days. That's what it did for me. The big question is, do you believe that you're just a few words and a simple concept away from exploding your group? Well, you should, because this skill makes all the difference in the world. Let me just run over the format for you here that we're going to take. I'm going to tell you a short story about Al and Nancy. You may have heard the longer version on the most people skill. We really include it in every skill because we know that you may email these to people that you think can use them or benefit from them, and they might not have seen the longer version. The main thing is that you can, in the future, jump directly right ahead to the skill because there's an outline there, obviously, on the left, and you get right at it. But I want to encourage you to view the Al and Nancy story until you can tell it, because really, if we're going to make money in network marketing, we need to learn a couple of skills. And there's really only two types of reps in our business. There's leaders who tell stories and teach skills, and then there's distributors who don't do much of anything. You just need to know which group you want to belong to. Now, if you've put yourself in the leaders group, you need to be able to communicate a like or similar story. And I'm sure once you learn a couple of more skills, or just really put this one and most people into play for yourself, that you'll get great results, and then you'll have your own Al and Nancy story. Very important way to communicate to people why they need to learn skills. So let's quickly blast through the agenda here. We're going to talk about Al and Nancy and me, some basics about network marketing, then cover how to build instant rapport and what that actually means, then applications for rejection-free recruiting. Would it be okay if I showed you how to recruit rejection-free? And really, how to frame the benefit statement. You know, we all have a couple of benefit statements that we like, but if it's not framed properly so that it's a benefit statement, then it really sounds like BS to the prospect. So we'll show you how to take those benefit statements, in other words, what's in it for them, frame them with a rapport builder so it sounds like something they want to know more about rather than BS or a sales pitch. And then towards the end, I know that you earned this by going through the most people skill. We'll show you how to take instant rapport builders, combine them with the most people skill, and create a 90-second invitation with both skills where the prospects don't have a chance. Better than 94% of the people say, yeah, I want more information. My story is pretty simple. You may recall I failed 5 times in the 80s and was really at my wit's end. I rejoined network marketing in the 90s and was failing again when I met somebody who proposed a really simple question to me, really sitting there in tears, and he said, look, I can help you, but you got to answer this question. If Al and Nancy are both in the business with the same company, they enrolled through the same data system, they paid the same price to get in, they're using the same product, marketing the same product, they have the same belief, same comp plan, same hours they're putting in, they have the same commitment, come from the same socioeconomic background, same upline, they live in the same city, they have the same sponsor. Why is Nancy cashing huge checks and achieving great things for herself and her family and having a blast, while Al's not cashing any checks at all? Well, it's really simple. It gets down to one thing: skills. Nancy simply does and says something different than Al. And I actually learned this in a hotel lobby. I walked out on some gurus teaching about network marketing, and somebody explained this to me, and that led me to my current mentor, who I've been following for years and has really boosted our income, Big Al. But fundamentally, what I said to him when he asked me, do you know the difference? I said the magic words, I don't know. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to kill the biggest lie in network marketing, because that's something that really holds people back. But before we get to that, let's just get to a quick review of how the industry works. You may recall I see the industry as having three basic components: the three-step plan, which is the recruiting cycle. We communicate with our organization, and we build from event to event. But it's tough to get people to events and tough to communicate with your downline if you don't have one. So everything revolves around the three-step plan. Now, you may have different names and different categories, but just kind of take an umbrella approach, and everything would fit underneath here. And likewise with what I call the recruiting cycle or the three-step plan. Let's go over that quickly. There's really a protocol, and when you really think about it, although you might have a different label for it, and I'm not trying to upset the karma or the vocabulary on your team, but I like simple words that people can understand, because people want to be a part of something bigger, and jargon makes it seem smaller. So the three-step plan is pretty simple. At step one in the recruiting cycle, what we do is we strike interest and sort the serious from the kidding around, and we book a specific follow-up. Measure your success rate based on whether or not you booked a specific follow-up. For example, next week is not specific, next Tuesday is not specific, next Tuesday at 7:35 Eastern Standard Time in the evening is specific. At step two, the prospect reviews information. It could be any third-party tool, a CD, a DVD, a webcast, a webinar, maybe a hotel meeting. Really doesn't matter. But you can leverage those things because you can have several people reviewing it at once. So if you improve at step one, which is really where the big money is, it's not in closing. You don't have to close people once you learn a couple of magic words. They kind of make it so plentiful. The prospects become so plentiful in your pipeline that you couldn't possibly handle them all if they all came in anyway. So that's not a big deal. And with a couple of magic words, you make it really easy for them to join your business. But remember that John Wooden's rule is going to make us or break us. Wooden taught the more concerned I am about the things I can't control, the less I'll do about the things I can control. And really, the only thing that you can control here is step one. It's really up to the prospect when you give them information whether or not they're going to review it, and it's really up to them whether or not they come in the business. So what Nancy does, our successful rep, is she focuses on improving step one, which is really what this training is about, helping you dramatically improve at step one, while Al worries about the outcome at step two and three. So focus on step one because that's where the big money is. If you can get a higher percentage of people and far less time with each prospect to agree to review information, well, you obviously have more people in the pipeline and more people to close. It's simple. The biggest lie in network marketing, let me save you some time, money, and heartache. The biggest lie in network marketing, plain and simple, is you just have to find the right people. Of course, I said this earlier in my career because I didn't want people to get discouraged, and I didn't really realize that the right people were everywhere. Let me give you some social proof of that. See, everybody you know wants to make more money, would like to have more money. Everybody you know would like to pay less in taxes, and everybody you know would like to have more time with the people that they care the most about. What are you offering? More money, less taxes, and more time. So the question is, why do they say no? You see, the right people really are everywhere. It really just depends on one thing, whether or not we create a prospect on demand. It all depends on what we say and what we do. Now, if you're not sure, let me draw a little mental picture for you. Think about your local grocery store and head out to that grocery store in your mind and get 4 or 5 bags of groceries, put them in a cart, and stand by the back of your car. A gentleman walks by, sort of a nice-looking guy. He's got a white shirt on and a blue windbreaker. You got a picture of him in your mind? Great. You tell him that you hurt your back, and you say, hey, could you throw these groceries in a trunk for me? My back's kind of sore. So he does. You pull out a $100 bill, and you say, here, thanks a lot. What do you think his reaction would be? It might be, oh, no, man, that's cool. Don't worry about it. I don't need $100 for that. Or he might say, hey, that's really generous. Why don't you give it to charity? Or he might say, hey, terrific. Do you have any other chores that you want me to do? And the point is, it would be a very comfortable exchange. Now just mentally rewind to just before he got to the car and you say, hey, pal, I hurt my back. Could you throw these in the trunk for me? So he does. This time, you pull out a gun, grab him by the throat, stick the gun in his face, and say, give me all your money or I'm going to blow your brains out. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that you would get a completely different response? Exact same person, exact same situation. What was different? What we said to him and what we did. So it's really true that the biggest lie in network marketing is you just have to find the right people. They're everywhere. So let's learn exactly what to say and do so we can create prospects on demand. Because everybody wants more money, everybody wants to pay less in taxes, and everybody wants more free time. That's what you're offering. Let's learn exactly what to say and do so they instantly trust you and they want to go forward in getting more information. Whether we like it or not, our entire career is really defined in about 15 seconds. Now, we know that nobody's ever going to come up to you. They certainly haven't come up to me and said, hey, Mark, have you started a new business that you'd like to tell me about? The reality is, if the business is going to come up, we have to bring it up. And if we can improve in that initial contact, well, then we can have more people reviewing information and more people we're collecting decisions from. So let me give you 3 statements and tell me whether or not you think I'm dead in the water in the first 15 seconds. What if I were to say at a family outing, hey, cuz, want to be a distributor? No, I'm dead meat there. What if I were to say, oh, I found this incredible company. They're expanding globally. We're looking for entrepreneurs that speak 7 different languages and have connections all over the world. And it's really easy. You only have to go to 2 meetings a week, fly to 2 conventions. I know. That's not going to work either. And of course, there's the perennial favorite for our Al types who has figured something out about the marketing plan and says, you must look at this because on the 83rd level, if it's a Tuesday and it's raining in more than 7 states, you pick up double in the global business pool. See, these are the types of things, of course we're exaggerating a little bit, but these are the type of things that we try with people, and we're dead meat. They tend to run away from us at family outings. They tend to avoid us in the gym. Why? Well, because our career really is defined in the first 15 seconds. So if the right people are everywhere, why does everybody say no? And you know how they say no sometimes. They say things like, hey, let me get back to you. My cousin's getting married 4 years from now, and I have to help her lay out the seating plan. I'm going on vacation. I just got back from vacation. They just give us excuses. If I'm correct and the right people are everywhere, meaning they want to pay less taxes, make more money, and have more free time, why do they say no? Well, here's the reality. They simply don't trust what we're saying. We're creating a rise in their sales filter. Most people's experience with salesmen, even though it's totally unfair to salespeople, I know I was one, my wife was one, but the reality is it's not that they don't trust you, it's just that they don't trust what you're saying. And here's kind of what happens. Kind of give you some proof here. How long, when a telemarketer calls you, does it take you to get off the phone? The reality is they might have had the best deal for your family at that time, but you're off the phone in 5 or 10 seconds. And as far as dating, if you can remember back to your fraternity days or early dances that you went to, I mean, didn't you really make instantaneous decisions that you didn't want to be with that guy or you wouldn't talk to that girl unless hell froze over? Now, the fact of the matter is that guy or that gal might have been the perfect mate, and it's really not fair. But if you do it to people, then guess what? They're going to do it to you too. Now, why is that? Well, it's really easy if you think about life in terms of everyone being a jogger. Now, of course, everybody has a little bit different pace, but they get up, they go to work, they come home, they watch TV, they go to bed. Get up, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed. Now, some people do a different thing on Monday. For example, on Wednesdays, my wife, the fabulous Davine, takes my mom out shopping. And on Saturdays, I do something with my mom. On Sundays and Saturdays, I do something with Davine. And we do some very casual things, and sometimes we do some high-energy things. But the truth is, there's sort of a rhythm to our life. And so if you can kind of think of it as people jogging through life, it'll really help you understand why they say no. So let's continue with this little analogy. People are going through life in their particular rhythm and back and forth to work and watching TV and going to bed. And what happens when we approach them about the business, because we have to bring it up, we're kind of like people attacking joggers out of the bushes, or we're just too darn slow. What's an example of attacking? Well, somebody says, I got a 15 and a 16-year-old. They both want to go to college. Oh, you got to take a look at my business. It's unbelievable. It can pay for your kids' education. We have these great products, and we have these meetings that are so much fun. And we have a convention once a year, and we have this pay plan that's incredible. Well, you've just attacked a jogger going by out of the bushes. What's an example of moving too slow? Well, same situation. I have a couple of kids getting ready for college. Well, let me tell you about this little berry that was found down in the base of the Himalayas, and it's just absolutely incredible. It turns out that it has this remarkable chemical property in that no other plant on the entire world features. It cures cancer. It cures arthritis. It makes your hair grow. It makes you lose weight exactly where you want to lose it. You get big muscles without working out. Of course, the jogger's gone as you're telling the story about chemicals. Here's really what rapport means. Rapport is defined this way by Webster. It's a relationship characterized by harmony. Trust, as we all know, is a prerequisite for harmony. So obviously, rapport means trust and harmony. Building instant rapport with people as they're matriculating through their life at their particular pace creates a feeling that you see the world the same way that they do. Now, why is that important? Well, everybody's so busy and so aligned with the rhythm of their life that they have a tendency to not really listen to what people are saying unless they trust what the people are saying and trust the people when they're bringing new information to them. It's just a normal reaction. Some of it doesn't really have anything to do with anything except the fact they just don't want more stuff piling into their life. But here's the truth about people. We tend to trust people that we believe are the same as us. Look around in your own personal life. Wouldn't you agree that the people that you spend the most time with are the people that you're sort of in harmony and trust? It's really that simple. You know, Red Sox fans tend to trust Red Sox fans and distrust Yankee fans. Italians like myself tend to trust other Italians. Might be the biggest mistake in the world, but it's just the way it is. It doesn't mean we're prejudiced. It simply means that we tend to trust people instantly that we think are like this. And there's a couple of magic words that you can say that will trigger a feeling of safety in the subconscious mind of the prospect so that they'll instantly trust you. But more important than getting them to trust you with a couple of words is coming to a clear understanding that if they don't trust what you're saying, you're dead in the water. It doesn't matter how great your product, plan, or company is. If they don't trust what you're saying, doesn't necessarily mean they might not trust you. They might not trust you, but that's not that important. What's really important is that they trust what you're saying, and by extension, they trust that the material that you give them is true. And that's really important. Without trust, we're kaput. We're dead in the water. I first heard these from my friend Big Al, and I said, isn't that interesting, these 3 rules of recruiting. So let me tell you, I adopted them, and it's great. Number 1, it's got to be rejection-free, because when you teach things to people in your organization, if it's not rejection-free, let's be honest, they're simply not going to use it. The second piece that I think is crucial is they can't embarrass or pressure a prospect. You don't want to get information from the prospect and then use their own words against them. That's one style of recruiting. But personally, it's bad manners, and that's why the great people never join people that recruit that way, because nobody wants to be in a business where they have to use bad manners to build the business. And rule number 3 is it's got to have a high probability of striking interest with the prospect. Because if it doesn't work, well, obviously they're not going to use it. You want your statement to create a response like, "You're kidding me. How does that work?" Or, "What do you mean?" Or, "Well, what is it? What's it all about?" Or, "Oh, really? Can you tell me more about it?" Or, "Huh, that's interesting. What do you mean?" Those are the type of responses that you want to get. So rejection-free, would it be okay with you if we showed you how to recruit rejection-free without embarrassing or pressuring a prospect, and it had an extremely high probability of striking interest, which is what we do at step 1. Would that be okay with you? We say, gee, the government takes a big chunk every payday. If you add to that other taxes like gas tax and property tax and sales tax, gee, even more of our check disappears. Some people have actually found a way to get a $100 tax rebate every week. I wish I could see your face right now, because I know what's happening, because I know how these words work. In the first 2 statements, you're sort of mentally or even actually physically nodding up and down. And what you want to do is say it exactly that way. You just leave it out there because this is going to be rejection-free. What's your buddy's option there? He's going to say, "What do you mean a $100 tax rebate every week?" Or he's not going to say anything. In any case, you don't feel rejected. He didn't reject your plan, your product, your company, or you. He rejected the idea of getting a $100 tax rebate for himself. Nobody's going to take that personally. Let's take the same situation, and you have 2 kids, 14 and 16 years old, and you mentioned that they're sort of have some college aspirations, or I say, are they headed for college? Do you want your kids thinking about college? And you said, yeah, they are. Well, I could say, well, listen, I want to tell you about this particular plant that was actually found just south of the Pampas in South America. It's unbelievable. It's kept this tribe alive. Everybody lives to 110 years old, and actually has this secret molecule in it that is an anti-inflammatory loaded with antioxidants. I'm losing you. This is the too slow thing. What if I said this instead? Again, the 2 kids in college. What if I said to you, gee, college is expensive, and good schools cost even more. Some people have actually found a way to pay for their kids' education with no loans and no stress. The response is usually, what do you mean? How does that work? What are you talking about? No loans and no stress. How does that happen? The bottom line is, if you didn't say anything to that, or the prospect that you were talking to didn't respond to that, are you going to feel rejected? No. And there's some additional benefits in this that I'll explain to you later that are absolutely incredible, because you never burn a prospect. Meaning, you can bring these up to them over and over, and I'll show you how that works. Now, let's face it, there's some great health and nutrition products, some great products all over the networking industry. So if you like a product lead rather than a business lead, I like the business lead because I'm looking for business builders. But if you like the product lead, or you know somebody that has a particular condition, if you're in a skincare deal or a health and nutrition deal, I'm going to show you that these work just as effectively. So imagine that you have arthritis. What if I were to say to you, geez, arthritis is painful. And the government's taken dangerous meds like Vioxx off the market. And some people have actually found a way to get all natural relief and have the government pay for it. Wow. What do you mean? How does the government pay for it? What are you talking about? And, of course, they're leaning forward and they're ready to buy and they're ready to join. It's cha-ching time if you're leading with the product. If you're leading with the business, what I mean by they're ready to buy and ready to join is they're ready to buy your next suggestion and they're ready to join you in reviewing information. Now, there's a few reasons why and how this works, but let's talk about the fact that your conscious mind, when it has a thought, fires 2,000 synaptic connections. Your subconscious mind fires 4 million synaptic connections and recalls every experience from the time that you were born that is in the slightest way related to what's going on in front of it right at that particular juncture. Well, it's not much of a decision as to who's making the decision. The subconscious mind really makes all the decisions. And there's two filters. The first filter, of course, is given by the creator, which is self-preservation. And the second one, of course, is one that we learn, hey, is this guy trying to sell me something? So what instant rapport builders do is they bypass the sales filter. And let me show you what the rules are to building these rapport builders, and then we'll show you how it actually works, what actually happens on the subconscious level so that they instantly trust what you're saying. Building instant rapport statements is really easy, it's a lot of fun, and it's really a blast to get together with your team and create dozens and dozens of these. In the beginning, most people try to put too much information and keep them really simple. The first sentence is 3 simple sentences. The first one is a fact that's universally known and accepted. For example, 18,000 children die every day of starvation. It's sad and it's a fact, but it's not universally known, so it can't be universally accepted. A statement like college is expensive, everybody knows that's true. Everybody's going to mentally agree with that. The second sentence is exactly the same thing. It's a simple, direct, true, universally accepted statement. College is expensive, and good schools cost even more. And I can feel right through this presentation that your head may be nodding in agreement. And this is really what we want to happen in the prospect's mind. Now, the third sentence is a small bit of new information. Not bits. There's a tendency when you first discover rapport builders to try to put in too much information, and it is difficult mentally to trust that these 3 short statements will instantly create trust in the prospect, and we'll explain to you why in a few more minutes that they instantly trust you and trust what you're saying. A crucial piece of this is that it's always in the third person. It's never, I can show you how to pay for your kid's education. It's some people have found a way to pay for their kids' education with no loans and no stress. So the third sentence, again, is in third person. Some people have found a way to get paid 58 cents a mile for every mile they drive. Some people have found a way to pay for their kids' education with no loans and no stress. Some people have found a way to get a $100 tax rebate every single week. So the 3 rules again: fact, small bit of new information. Don't succumb to the temptation to try to tell them everything about your company in this sentence. You'll get better at these as you get together with a team and go over the rules. It's amazing when people get together how they keep editing it down and down and down. Less is more.
Oh, okay.
So it's fine, I'll see it. Okay, so
Just click close once it's.
is can I click close now?
It won't, but
Oh, because it says recording.
yeah. Go ahead, honey. I can get up. I'll take care of it.
Well, I just want to make sure it's right.
Well, yeah.
Let's talk about how and why this works. You see, the first fact, the subconscious mind instantly recognizes that there's some similarities between you and them. On the second fact, rapport is built instantly. The subconscious mind is virtually saying on fact, small bit of new information, come in, sit down, and tell me a story. Because you bypassed the sales filter, they know you're not going to kill them, so you've engaged their curiosity. Remember, the desire for self-preservation is the biggest thing ticking in the subconscious mind 24/7. But the second biggest thing is curiosity. The trick here is to get the benefit statement. For example, a benefit statement that I've already shared with you is some people have found a way to pay for their kids' education with no loans and no stress. Some people have found a way to get 58 cents a mile back for every mile they drive. The small bit of new information, that's the benefit statement. And if you don't say, I can show you how to pay for your kids' education with my incredible compensation plan, the work you did is gone, and the filters go up, and they're going to tell you they're busy, they don't have time to look at anything. But if you put it in third person, because you've said fact, and you haven't fired a direct hit on them, you've said very gently, some people have found a way to pay for their kids' education with no loans and no stress, and then didn't ask them if they wanted more information about it. They're leaning forward, they're ready to buy and ready to join. Why? Because you've ignited their curiosity, they trust you, and in essence, in less than 7 seconds, their subconscious mind, because it never forgets anything, has conjured up every single experience, and it greenlights you. It makes the decision to trust what you're saying. That's the green light. They don't even have any control over this decision. They automatically trust what you're saying. And when they trust what you're saying, and it's framed around fact, well, the compulsion to get more information is ignited. And they do it by saying things like, are you kidding me? How does that happen? Which is music for most of us. I'm going to run through about 4 or 5 of these, and I like to break them down into current conditions, occupation, and topical. So let's see if you can pick up the pattern here. Groceries are expensive. The price won't be coming down. Some people have found a way to get an extra paycheck every month so they can have all the groceries they want. The person next to you in the grocery store might say, oh, really? How do you get an extra paycheck every month? Or, what do you mean? Remember, fact, look how simple that is. Groceries are expensive. It's not complicated. But the real thing I want you to focus on, and then we'll buzz through 3 or 4 of these, is the benefit statement. Some people have found a way to get an extra paycheck every month. Really simple. So here we go with another current condition. It's just a variation on the same thing. I like picking things that are hot. Everybody's talking about health care here. So, really simple. Health care is expensive. The price won't be coming down. Notice any pattern here? Some people have found a way to get the government to pay for it every month. What do you mean the government pays for it every month? How does that work? And you have instantly created a prospect. So the right people really are everywhere. It just depends on what we say and what we do. And with rapport builders, they trust what you're saying, and they'll ask you for more information. Let's look at a couple more. So we went over how to deal with current conditions, and there's a gazillion of that you can put together. But we know in any economy, there's going to be, when some things go up, other things go down. So you just identify the ones that are struggling a little bit, and it's basically the same thing. Real estate has slowed down, hasn't it, Jerry? No one can really predict if or when it'll turn around. You know, some brokers have found a way to build a great monthly income without giving up their real estate career. What do you think Jerry's going to say? Now, I want you to notice something about occupational rapport builders. A lot of people have a lot of pride in their work. They don't want to admit that things aren't going well. So you never want to say some brokers have found a way to get out of real estate. You want to really be supportive of what they're currently doing, and also take away the excuse at the same time that they don't have the time, because we know a lot of real estate brokers and salespeople, for that matter, they have a lot of dead time. So really, really make sure that when you're going to use the occupational ones, that you add in without giving up their career. And you won't send up any filters whatsoever. I know Jerry in this situation would say, what do you mean I can build a great income without giving up my real estate career? Well, you've just turned a suspect into a prospect literally on demand in less than 7 seconds. And there's really hundreds and hundreds of variations here. You know, plumbing has slowed down, or building has slowed down, or car sales have slowed down. It doesn't really matter. Let's use, subcontracting. Subcontracting has slowed down. Nobody can really predict if or when it'll turn around. Some contractors have actually found a way to build a great monthly income without giving up their subbing career. And I just whistle and stand there, and about 8 out of 10 times I hear, how does that work? Which is great. There's instant rapport builders all over the news, and topical things that are going on, it's really easy. Yeah, guys maybe in his 50s, try this on anybody over 50. Yeah, people work for 45 years hoping to retire on 60% of what they earn. Social Security sure not enough to live on. Some people have found a way to retire in 3 years at full pay. What do you mean 3 years at full pay? And bang, you've just taken somebody that would have rejected any other approach. They're now asking you for information. It's incredible if you'll remember to keep the fact really simple and short, like Social Security is not enough to live on. And look at the benefit statement. Some people have found a way to retire in 3 years at full pay. Not a big deal. Always, always, always put the benefit statement in the third person. Now, I mentioned there was some additional power behind this thing, and it's because if you use rapport builders, your list doesn't really shrink until you get them to the table to look at what you want them to look at. And a good example of this, I'll tell you a couple of stories about my cousin Barbara and my friend Steve. My cousin Barbara's sort of all over the place. She's got 3 kids. She works. She knows everybody. She invented ADD. But man, does she know a lot of people, and I figured she'd be a great networker. Oh, I brought the business up to her several times. College is expensive. Good schools cost even more. Some people have found a way to pay for their kids' education with no loans and no stress. Nothing. Flatline. Used the gas thing on her. Used 5 or 6 of them. She's actually a real estate broker, too. And used the real estate thing on her. Some brokers have found a way to make a great monthly income without giving up with their real estate career. Nothing. Then I bump into her one day. I saw her a couple of times a year at family outings, and then maybe once or twice a year we'd bump into each other for coffee. So I said, working full-time is tough. It's even tougher when you have kids at home. Now, some moms have found a way to make more money part-time from home than their husbands do full-time. And she did a, get out! I can make more money than Ricky? What are you talking about? So I gave her a CD. It was about 10 in the morning, and enrolled her at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, stopped by her house, and she sponsored some people into the business. And the point isn't my little experience. The point is I brought it up several times. My cousin just never said anything, but I didn't burn her as a prospect by hammering her about the product, the plan, the company, and how great everything was. Same thing happened with my friend Steve Bateman. 3 years, seeing Steve, 2-3 times a year, dropped rapport builders on her, and finally he said, What do you mean? How does that work? And it actually happened at a time when Steve was looking for a network marketing organization, enrolled him. 2 days later, he's on a plane after he enrolled on his way to Salt Lake City, which was really exciting. The point is, you can bring it up over and over and over again because it's rejection-free around the business and it's rejection-free personally. It's not like you throw out a pitch for your business at the Thanksgiving Day table, nobody takes the bait, and it's really uncomfortable. You just make a statement. Hey, gas is expensive. And you'll get 4 or 5 heads bobbing up and down. The price isn't coming down. Some people have found a way to get 58 cents a mile for every mile they drive, or some people have found a way to get a $100 tax rebate every week. And a few people say at the table, what do you mean? Tell me about it. Hey, it's Thanksgiving. Let's not talk about it now. But you can bring this up with people that you know over and over and over again, different rapport builders. You just keep floating it by them. This stops your list from shrinking, and it quickly expands your list because you get people in the business, you teach them this, and you blow right through their warm market and build a big paycheck for both of you. Now, I've mentioned several times that they're ready to buy and ready to join. You need to know where you want to guide them. There's 10 plus options. You can meet people for a 10-minute coffee. A really cool skill is learning how to present your business in under a minute. It's just fantastic. But that might not be where your skill level's at. You can set up an appointment to show the plan. You can give them a CD. You can get a phone number and call them with your upline. You have lots of options. Pick one or two that you're really comfy with. And then as you go through our site, The World's Laziest Networker, and pick up some additional skills from myself or my mentor, what can happen is you'll use different options for different people. But make sure when they lean forward and they're ready to buy your next suggestion, ready to join you at the next step, make sure you know where you want to bring them and make it something that you're very, very comfortable with. If you're brand new, get their number and call them with your upline. Really simple. Or just hand them a CD. Well, I think you can clearly see here that we've hit the 3 rules of recruiting with instant rapport building. Certainly, I've demonstrated and told you a couple of stories about why it's rejection-free. If they don't say anything, you haven't brought up your business. You can keep flying rapport builders by them till the cows come home. And obviously, rapport builders don't embarrass anybody. And in less than 12 seconds, usually these rapport builders take about 7 or 8 seconds, they're ready to buy your next suggestion, and they're ready to join you there. And obviously, you can teach these to your team. You can get them the skill, just send them the skill and let them learn it. Sit around with your group and create some of these rapport builders because they work. And if they work, people keep using them. They have an extremely high probability of striking interest. And when you couple that with rejection-free, you have a really powerful, powerful way to bring the business up. There's an old saying that people are a lot more comfortable when they know what's going to happen next. So let's just quickly go over that. We talked about instant rapport builders, and they're far and away the most effective recruiting skill. They really can stand on their own. They work just perfectly. Combining instant rapport with the most people skill that you went through in the previous module will get you not only a 94% yes rate, but people will totally trust the material that they review because you've established instant rapport with them. All right, would it be okay with you if we put an invitation together? It's really kind of a lot of fun to combine these 2 skills. Now, you can create a perfect situation from time to time if you review what goes through the prospect's head skill. If you know what's going through their head and you combine a rapport builder with most people, well, you'll see why that you get better than 94% of the people to say yes. But basically, let's take a situation where you're working with a new distributor and you have 3-way to prospect. The new distributor introduces you and promotes their upline. That's really the best way to do it. I'm going to give you 4 different examples, and it works for every type of business. So I'll give you a couple of different examples of a perfect invitation over the phone that gets people ready to buy, ready to join, ready to review information, and you're demonstrating to your new rep how to invite people to look at stuff. You give them these 2 skills. You create some invitations based on these 2 skills. I'll show you how to do that. And in no time at all, that brand new distributor, a week or 2 in the business, is getting better than 90% of the people that she or he talks to agree to review information and to meet you at a follow-up. Wouldn't that be great? Well, it happens all the time if you'll do the work. So let's say Nancy's introduced you. Maybe you just want to close your eyes and listen to this. Nancy's introduced me, we'll say, and edified me, so you're perceiving me as an authority. To say, hey, the reason we called is we've discovered something that Nancy thought you might like to know about. That's based on the fact that virtually everyone has a cell phone. Everyone pays their cell bill. Some people have found a way to get paid on thousands of cell phone bills every month. Now, most people, once they hear about this, well, they get excited or at least curious, and they want to get more information. But, honestly, Pete, some of them don't. The ones that don't, well, you know the type. They're the type that would rather watch TV, surf the internet, and complain instead of taking care of themselves and their families. Now, Nancy thought you'd like to see the kind of money that people are already making right from their home, and we can get you the information right over the internet. Okay, you can open your eyes, and you can see with the most people skill, obviously you found that out in the previous skill, they're going to default to the first group, and there's a rapport builder. So the rapport builder it's based on the fact that virtually everyone has a cell phone, right? Simple fact. Everyone pays their cell bill. The small bit of new information, some people have found a way to get paid on thousands of cell phone bills every month. Now you're going for the close, which is most people, yada, 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 but some of them don't. The ones that don't, well, you know the type. They're the type that would rather watch TV, surf the internet, and complain. And you learned in the previous skill, the most people skill, that they're going to let you know that they don't belong in that group, and there's only one way they can do that, and that's take the information. Now, what's really cool is these things work both ways, and let me show you how that works. So it really doesn't matter. You could actually say most people, Pete, once they hear about this, well, they get excited or at least curious, and they want more information. But, honestly, Pete, some of them don't. The ones that don't, well, you know the type. They're the type who'd rather watch TV, drink beer, smoke dope, and surf the internet and complain instead of taking care of themselves and taking care of their families. Now, it's based on the fact that virtually everyone has a cell phone. Everyone pays their cell phone bill. Some people have actually found a way to get paid on thousands of cell phone bills every month. Nancy thought you'd like to see the kind of money that people are already making, and we can get you a website so you can check that out. Does that sound like something you'd like more information about? Folks, they don't have a choice. They're dead in the water. And you can use these both on 3-way calls and in social situations. They're so powerful. Now, we know that there's a lot of get paid to shop, little networking companies moving out, but it doesn't matter what the service is. You just can easily build a rapport builder for any of them. So this one would work pretty much the same way. I'm introduced to Pete by Nancy, and I'd say most people, once they hear about this Pete, well, they get excited, or at least curious, and they want to get more information. But, honestly, Pete, some of them don't. The ones that don't, well, you know the type. The kind of people that would rather watch TV, surf the internet, talk football, and complain instead of taking care of themselves and their families. And it's based on the fact that virtually everyone has a computer today, and more people are doing more and more things online every day. Some people have actually found a way to get paid on thousands of transactions that take place online every day anyway. Now, Nancy thought you might like to see the kind of money that people are already making right from the comfort and safety of their own home. We can get you that information right over the internet. Does that sound like something that you'd like more information about? Now, again, you can reverse the order. After Nancy introduces, you can say, well, what we've discovered is based on the fact that virtually everyone has a computer. More and more people are doing more and more things online every day anyway, so you go through the rapport builder, and then you go into the most people. Whatever you feel comfortable with. To me, it just depends on the relationship with the person. I love using the rapport builder first when there's a strong, consistent relationship with them, because I want to hit them with fact right away, and I want to close on the most people. But when it's sort of marginally that they know people, I definitely like reversing the order. But you'll figure it out, and to be candid with you, it really doesn't make any difference. What makes a difference is how you say it. And if you practice, they come out just like I do. We've showed you exactly where the hesitations are. Some people will actually go back and review that training over and over and over again and get it down pat, because it's tremendously effective. These skills work much better when you actually use them. It works great with health and nutrition, and again, either order is fine, but most people, once they hear about this, they get excited, Pete, or at least curious, and they want to get more information. But, some of them don't. The ones that don't, I think you know the type. Actually, the type of people that would rather hit golf balls, drink down at the corner bar room with their buddies, and surf the internet instead of taking care of themselves and their families, complaining all the while they do it. Now, it's based on the fact that almost everybody wants to improve their health, and more people are turning to all-natural supplements. Some people have actually found a way to get paid for taking a supplement and make money. Nancy thought that you might like to see the kind of money people are already making by providing other people with a free health supplement. Again, it doesn't really matter the order, and you can create your own rapport builders that are perfect for your health and nutrition deal or your travel deal. It really doesn't matter. Now, if you're looking for people that are big builders, again, you have the most people. Some people, don't hesitate. But you can just go into something, your rapport builder can be, people are concerned about retirement. Social Security is not enough to live on. Some people have actually found a way to retire in 3 years at full pay without giving up their regular job or putting their families at risk. Nancy thought you might like to see the kind of money that people are already making from the comfort and safety of their own home. May we get you some information, Pete? May we do that for you? And again, you can reverse these. So you can use straight business. You can feature a little bit about your company in the rapport builder. Like when we talked about there's a lot of really good cell phone deals out there right now. And some decent network marketing companies and cell phone deals. So it's really easy to bring up the business without bringing up the business when you say something like, everybody's got a cell phone. And let's face it, everybody pays their cell phone bill no matter what. Some people have actually found a way. So you can use the business part, or you can just go straight to a need if you think that person has a particular need or interest. Really simple. Build lots of rapport builders. Combine it with the most people skill. The most people skill will get 94% of the people to say yes if you deliver it the way, word for word. I hated it in 93 and when I was failing, and I hated it in the 80s when I was failing. I'd be excited. I'd show up for the meetings, and I'd talk to these upline people that were making $5,000-$10,000 a month. I would have been happy making $500 a month. We're really desperate for money. And say, what should I do? Well, just go talk to people. I hated that. So we're giving you this not only word for word, but where to put in the little hesitations and the pauses. Let's just quickly talk about this most people thing. When I say most people, once they hear about this, get excited. or at least a little curious, and they want to get more information, I'm intentionally toying with their sales filter. I'm actually trying to raise it, because if I can raise it up to almost to the point where they say, "Oh, salesman approaching," when I say, "But some of them don't," honestly, Pete, when you do that, the sales filter vanishes, and whatever you tell them next, they're absolutely going to get right in to their subconscious mind, which is going to direct them to act out so that they can prove to you that they're not in that second group, the group that watch TV, surf the internet. But that's a lot different than saying most people, once they hear about this, get excited or at least curious and want more information, but some of them don't. The ones that don't, well, you know the type there. See, I almost can't read it wrong. Little hesitation. That's what the dots are in there for. And, of course, go through that most people skill, because it's really powerful. Now, when you go through what goes through the prospect's head skill, it's going to encourage the three-way call. The three-way call is a grand slam as far as this business goes. Al doesn't do them. Nancy does them. Enough said about that. But what's going to happen when you get on the phone, you're brand new in the business, and let's say I was your sponsor. So we get on the phone and we make 3 ways to your warm market list. Now, we're only going to connect with the right person approximately 16% of the time, according to AT&T, and I found those numbers to be remarkably accurate over a big group of numbers. Anyway, some people are going to call you back, so you need to be prepared. And you need to control the situation, particularly if you're new or inexperienced. You want to control the situation. So the first thing that you say is, "Oh, I'm glad you called back, John. Here's why you want to control it." You don't want to get into Q&A with John, because he's going to ask you lots of questions, and you're going to answer them. You're not going to have smooth answers. You're not going to feel confident in what you're saying. So this is how you control the situation. "Oh, I'm really glad that you called back, John. I only have 2 minutes, but that's all I really need." And you use your rapport builder and your most people skill. And then he might ask some questions. And you remind him, "John, like I said, I only have 2 minutes. Now we can set up an appointment. It would take about 2 to 2.5 hours to tell you about this thing. And then you're still going to want to look at this DVD or listen to this CD, whatever you're using." We'll say it's a CD, okay? So you're going to use the rapport builder. You're going to use the most people skill. And he starts asking you some questions. "What's the name of the company?" "John, like I said, I only got 2 minutes. I'm not trying to rush you off the phone here. I'd be happy to set an appointment up with you, because it would take me about 2.5 to 3 hours to explain it. And then after that, you'd want to listen to the CD anyway. So what would be easier for you? Should we set an appointment for 2.5 hours, or do you just want me to get you the information?" This statement here is pure gold. What would be easier for you? So this is how you control the situation so that you're not into Q&A when you're green in the business. And then when you're a grizzled veteran like myself, this is exactly what I use, because I don't want to have those conversations with people. I just want them to look at the information. It either floats their boat or it doesn't. I don't have to worry about every prospect, because slamming 20 or 30 people in the pipeline is just a few hours worth of work. Now, this combination of most people and instant rapport builds an absolute slam dunk if you're solo in social situations. Just simply reverse the process. Pick an appropriate instant rapport builder. Maybe you're at a PTA meeting. You might run, college is expensive. Good schools cost even more. Some people have actually found a way to pay for their kids' education with no loans and no stress. I think some people might say, "What do you mean?" At that point, you're going to say to them, "Well, most people, yada, 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 but some of them don't," okay? And just set up a time to get them the information. Say, "Hey, listen, why don't we socialize? We'll meet tomorrow at noon, or I'll shoot you an email with all the information," whatever it happens to be. You can work that out. If they start asking you questions, and they will, I'll say, "Well, what do you mean? How do I pay for the kids' education?" "Well, look I can kind of explain what's in the information that I want you to view, which is about 45 minutes. It'll take me about 2 to 2.5 hours to explain it to you, and then you're just going to want to listen to the CD anyway. So what would be easier for you, to set up an appointment for 2.5 hour explanation and then listen to the CD, or do you want to just listen to the CD? I'm telling you, it's a piece of cake to guide the conversation to disengaging once they've already agreed to get more information. That's what's key. Get them the information. Would it be okay with you if we had a brief review? Well, let's review. Now, the subconscious mind makes all decisions. We learned in the most people skill that it leverages the compulsion inside the subconscious mind for security, and what gives them security? A sense of belonging. So their ego takes over because they want to feel what? Significant and appreciated. They must take information to prove that they don't belong in the people that surf the internet, watch TV, and complain. What's really interesting is we also discovered that that decision takes place 6 to 8 seconds before the words actually come out of their mouth. When we talked about instant rapport, we talked about the fact, small bit of new information, which actually happens there on fact, small bit of new information. The subconscious mind recognizes that they're like you, you're like them, and they trust what you're saying, and it really opens their mind to reviewing the information from a trusting point of view. Then we gave you a little bonus skill, which is what would be easier for you. So when the Q&A starts, it's really simple. Hey, Jack, what would be easier for you? I can tell you about this. It'll take me about 2.5 to 3 hours, and then you're still going to want to go to a webcast or just to go to the webcast. Really up to you. Which do you think would be easier for you? Now, this is so much more potent than the hackneyed sales closes or let me take your temperature. The reason is when you say what would be easier for you, it's not the same thing as saying, well, do you want to meet for 2.5 hours or do you want me to just give you the CD? They feel like you're offering a choice in that situation that are both favorable to you, and it feels a little hackneyed and it feels a little sales-like. But when you say before that, what would be easier for you, Jack? I can explain this to you. It'll take about 2.5 to 3 hours, and then you're still going to want to listen to the CD because I can't explain it as concisely. Or would you like to just listen to the CD? You tell me what's easier for you. Well, they always go for the one that you want them to go for. So those are what we covered here. The most people skill, instant rapport, and pure gold with what would be easier for you. Question. Have you ever really thought about what we get paid for? I've used this example before, teaching a little kid to tie his shoes. What we actually do is have him hold one string straight up with his hand, and of course we tie the bow around it. But in a few days he reaches down and he ties the shoe himself. Now, it's not very good at first, but in a relatively short amount of time he's tying his shoes without you, and he's doing a great job. And this is really important because we get checks when people enroll and they reorder, whether they're on an automatic delivery program or transfer buying, whatever your company calls it, really doesn't matter. But that's not how we earn money. We earn checks by teaching other people what to do so they can do it without us, just like the kid tying his shoes. That's why we earn our money. This is a teaching business. And you need to learn the skills and teach the skills, because you can't teach, and neither can I. Nobody can teach what they don't know. And since we've already established that this is a skill-based business and we need to learn some skills if we're going to make some money, I want to encourage you to go through these trainings several times and learn the skills, and then feel free to teach them as if they're your own. That's fine. So Al and Nancy are two buddies. What's Al's next steps? What's Nancy's? Well, Nancy's going to cheat like a maniac because that's what leaders do. We know Al won't cheat. How do they cheat? They practice. Okay, they're going to practice. They write these things down. They're going to read them over and over again. The skills work better when you practice them and then use them. Of course, Al's not going to do that because he's kind of a know-it-all. And Nancy will get together with her team. She'll email us at the site and ask for some help with the rapport builders, and she'll submit rapport builders, which we'll post up. But she'll do 3-ways and scripts, and she'll do bump into scripts, as if she's going to bump into people socially with these 2 skills, with this information that she's learned. See, Nancy will review this training over and over again. She's going to learn that this business is a skill-based business, and she's determined to learn the skills so she can help her team. Al won't do that. See, there's really only 2 types of distributors: the people that understand that this is a skill-based business and they access free skills and teach them to their team, and then there's the group of distributors that don't believe it's a skill-based business. So, what would be easier for you? To go to the worldslaziestnetworker.com and learn some additional free skills to teach your team, or to keep doing what you're already doing? It works, doesn't it? It's really kind of cool. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Share the skills, learn the skills, teach the skills, and a big acknowledgement to my friend and mentor, Big Al. You can also catch him off my site. Just a tremendous influence, and has helped us have the lifestyle that's really second to none.